It's a response video to a few videos. In spite of being, called a Nazi from one camp, and the other camp is calling me a communist, I see purpose in pursuing this, and so I'm going to start numbering these videos too. The first argument I guess I would make is that there was a video on modernity. don't really have much use for that word. This just doesn't sound like a proper word. I guess progressive would be a little bit more reasonable, I think, but regardless. This argument is, you see it everywhere lately. Just in the videos I've been watching lately, it's everybody is referring to history as proof that something can't happen. History proves it. Even though history demonstrates that there is no circle, there is this forward movement. The world radically changes. It doesn't, you can't always apply history. Yes, we should learn from history. The only lesson we have to learn from history is that human beings are compulsive assholes. That's all we have to learn from history. There's no other lesson to be learned. That's the lesson. That they will, that they are likely to find easy answers rather than the real answers. Okay? They won't take the time, human beings, to find, to work for peace, because it's easy to just pull out the gun and shoot. Okay? They aren't the simple answers, and we see that now. We're not learning from history. People keep pulling out the gun like the gun is the solution. Yes, the gun will solve the problem. No, it won't solve anything. As soon as you use it, you have verified the uselessness of it, because somebody else will use it on you. It's just that simple. You can't go there. As soon as you go there, you've proved the futility of it is demonstrated, because somebody else will beat you to it. Somebody will shoot you before you shoot them. Timothy McVeigh will do us all in. Well, whatever. Won't argue that subject again. I've done enough videos on the fucking pointlessness of violence. It is not sustainable in the future. People can keep saying it is, but it isn't. They can't draw me a picture of any future. Draw me one. Go ahead. Draw me a picture of what the future will look like, where violence and technology can coexist. It just can't. But anyway, so in thinking and talking and whatever on these subjects, the real bottom line is that we don't. When you look at our systems, the systems we live by, the systems that order our world, what's designing them? It's not intelligence that's designing them. It's some narrow passion. It's convenience. It's exploitation. It's desire. It's greed. It isn't intelligence. It isn't. Not intelligence that has its only purpose in creating an efficient system. There's always the intelligence is always being directed by a special interest, by a narrow interest, and by ignorance. As stupid as that sounds, intelligence can be controlled by ignorance. Intelligence can be controlled by something as stupid as a bigotry. There's nothing, if the creature using the intelligence is an ape, then the intelligence is not going to be used constructively. And that's our mistake. And the question is how do we ever get to a clean slate? How do we break the system down to get to a clean slate? I guess on the bright side, the modern mystic has, he's conceded that if he, something like a demonstration, he did his car video, and that if he saw a demonstration where humankind was capable of giving up something, the system was capable of capitalism, and the consumer was capable of giving up something to demonstrate some consensus, some mass sacrifice, to the reality of the threat, that would impress him, that would give him reason to hope that, you know, humankind can escape, that there's reason to waste any time and energy on attempting to do anything to stop this train from going over the cliff, to use a Zach metaphor. And so it's just trying to come up with, you know, his car one is good. I mean, that's kind of a delicate thing. I mean, that's almost like that's going right for the balls in a way, because so many people, you know, see their car as an extension of something personal. But I think there's other examples we could demonstrate, or other things humankind could do that would be just as impressive, and that could just, you know, could also make the argument or provide the evidence for Nick that change is possible. But yeah, so let's just get back to this system design thing, because that's where all the flaws lie. That's where the whole thing falls apart. Because it's not designed to be efficient. It's designed by chaos. The internet's a perfect example. If we were to build an email system, we would build it impervious to spam. There's no reason we wouldn't waste $10 billion, $20 billion a year wasted time and energy, you know, having whole industries out there shystering. We wouldn't make it a possibility. We would design a system that couldn't be abused. And the same goes for even the indexing system. If we were going to, you wouldn't put Barnes and Noble in charge of a public library, and we have no excuse for our willingness to hand over the indexing of the internet to commercial enterprise. I mean, it's just foolish. You wouldn't. I mean, the only way you would do it is you would pay them directly. If we were going to pay somebody to index the books in the Library of Congress, we certainly wouldn't say, "Well, go ahead and figure out some kind of marketing scheme, you know, so you can pay for your time in indexing, you know, by shystering the system, by sucking a little blood out of the indexing system, by sucking your fee out of the functionality of the system." That would be idiotic. We wouldn't do it. What we would do is hire some clever, smart people who understood systems, and we'd say, yeah, design a system that is efficient, and you know, here's your money, give us the system, and the end. And we would run with the system. And that's how we've got to look at this. Capitalism is just chaos, and government is broken. I mean, it's completely broken. It doesn't represent people. It represents interests. It's not trying to build or engineer a society. It's trying to serve particular interests, and the overall interest isn't efficient functionality. The overall interest isn't to ensure a fair game. I mean, I'm not even a big fan of the game in the first place. The, you know, competing for no purpose kind of game. I mean, we shouldn't need competition to inspire us to be productive. But let's say we do. We'd say we had to have that. We would want to design the rules to be as fair as possible. And that's not going to happen if the people designing the rules have all kind of connected interest. If they're, you know, if they're basically designing the rules, if their son and daughter are basically in the fight, and they're, you know, they're going to make the rules to suit their son or daughter. They're going to create cheats, and that just breaks the whole. The whole never going to work that way. I mean, just look at the way the capitalist system works. I mean, the whole idea of ownership of business. The business then is not functioning to just do what it's supposed to do efficiently. It's not. It's no longer. It is required to produce profit, to expand, to grow. Otherwise, no one will buy the stock. Otherwise, the people, the shareholders, won't make money. And so that's the imperative, is always to find some way to make more, to do more. And so instead of just doing something right, it keeps saying, well, I have to take over my competitor, I have to get into somebody else's business, and I have to do this, and they're always going in directions that don't have anything to do with doing what they're assigned to do, so to speak, or what the business they are in, doing that as efficiently as possible. And then it ends up feeding all these people who don't contribute, really, don't produce anything.